Hey, this is Toe2 Bravo, and today we're going to do a video about these Glocks on the table here. These are actually my hybrid Glocks. These are both Gen 3 OEM frames with OEM parts kits, and both of these have Brownell slides on top. This is a Victory First barrel. This is an Agency Arms barrel. Beyond the barrels, everything else is OEM. And what I want to talk about today is I did the polishing job on both of these and did a series of trigger pulls on these and got a couple different averages that I want to share with you guys and explain where I'm pulling at, why I'm pulling there, what the weights are. I want to show you the polish jobs that I did so you can get a visual. I know there's a lot of videos out there on there. I'm not going to show you how to do it. I'm just going to show you the results of my polishing job on these two guns, and what that equates to as far as trigger pull for myself. And then I've got another factory trigger set up here that I'm going to put together, and we're going to do some trigger pulls completely based off of OEM parts that aren't polished, just for my own information to see what the pull weight is. And then finally, with the stock setup and the polished setup, I have a Lone Wolf, let's see what the proper nomenclature is, Lone Wolf connector. This is the 3.5 pound Lone Wolf connector. Now the part there is LWD342, and like I said, we'll put that in the stock setup that's not polished and the stock setup that is polished, and we'll crunch all these numbers together. Alright, we're back, and we're going to go ahead and discuss some averages, and I'll explain these that I've got here on paper. So the black Glock and the flat dark earth Glock, these are referenced here on the left side of the paper. So on this one, the first 5 pulls, the average that I got was 3 pounds 6 ounces. I did a second set of 5, and the average was 3 pounds 2 ounces. So fairly consistent pull weights between the 10 trigger pulls. I then did the FDE Glock, 5 pulls, average was 3 pounds 4 ounces. Second set of 5 pulls, 3 pounds 2 ounces. So both of these that have the polished trigger groups have very similar pull weights. Now those might seem a little unrealistic to some folks out there. You know, the debate probably will come up to what am I using to do the trigger pull measurements with, and where am I pulling on the trigger, right? So we'll set that aside for a moment. Now, when I use these firearms, for me, I am not pulling at the center mass of the trigger. That is not where I'm doing my shots from. When I'm at the range, my fingertip is down here at the bottom of the shoe. I'm depressing the dingus, and I'm pulling. The majority of my pulling is coming from the very bottom of my fingertip, and I'm pulling it through, and my finger's kind of making like a really weak U shape as I'm coming through that trigger. So I'll do it again. I'm locking in at the bottom of the shoe. My push is coming from the bottom of my finger, and it's kind of rolling its way up through the trigger mechanism. So in order for this to be accurate for me, I'm going to use my Wheeler trigger gauge to pull from the bottom of the shoe, because that's where I'm pulling with my finger. Now your results and your methods might be a little different, but this is the most realistic way for me to do this. So let's go ahead and just do a quick set of 3 pulls for each gun, so we can compare those numbers with the numbers that I've gotten previously, so you guys can see that on camera. So we'll start with the black Glock, and what I do is I'll set the gun at an angle like that. I'll take the trigger gauge, I will put it at the bottom of the dingus, and I will pull through in a simulated weak U shape there, and I get 3 pounds 13 ounces. We'll enter that data, and we will do 2 more of these. So again, 3 pounds 7 ounces. And our third and final pull for the black Glock, 3 pounds 9 ounces for an average of 3 pounds 9 ounces. So 3 pounds 9 ounces. We'll reference our sheet. Our averages were 3.6 and 3.2. 3.9 sits comfortably in that area. I don't think that is that big of a deviation. I think that's fairly accurate and representative of the trigger pull on this black Glock. So we'll set that one aside, and we will go to the FDE Glock. Now the FDE Glock was 3.4 and 3.2 were our averages for the 10 pulls. We're going to do 3 pulls here. First pull, flat dark earth Glock. First pull, FDE Glock. Here we go. 3 pounds 4 ounces. 3 pounds 5 ounces. 3 pounds 5 ounces for an average of 3 pounds 5 ounces, which is pretty reflective of what we got on our averages that we spoke about previously, 3.4 and 3.2. These both have very similar weights, pull weights, but they have 2 different trigger pulls. The black one, I'm going to drop the mag for now, but the black Glock, you have the safety goes in, and then you have travel, and then you roll straight on through to the brake. So it's a rolling brake. So I'll do that again. There is no real great resistance prior to the brake. It's dingus in, travel, and then you roll right through to the brake. So this is a rolling brake. The FDE, on the other hand, this model, you have the dingus in, you have travel and a very firm wall, and then you punch through and you brake. So that would be the glass braking on the wall brake, or that would be the wall, the very stiff wall, and then the glass braking. I think is how they explain it. So we'll do that again. Dingus in, travel, very stiff wall, and then the brake. So both these firearms, even though I tried to do them the same as far as the polish job, 2 very different trigger pulls on them. We'll be right back. We'll break them open. We'll take a look at them. All right, let's go over the components that we polished on the 2 Glocks here. The trigger bar, shark's fin. We polished the very top of this shark's fin here, both sides of the shark's fin. The actual trigger bar itself, I really didn't do anything to the inside of the trigger bar, but I polished the outside where it would come in contact with the polymer frame. I polished all the components here at the rear of the trigger, all 4 of these, top and bottom. The side and the connector were all polished, all brought to a very high polish on the lower. And the same goes for the black model Glock. Shark's fin on both sides. Top of the shark's fin. Brought this to a very nice buffed surface. Buffed this surface out very nice. Again, nothing on the inside of the trigger bar, but I polished the outside of the trigger bar where it comes in contact with the polymer. All the components in the rear, all 4 of these surfaces, top and bottom, and the edge. The connector, that was all polished. And the extractor. Polished the extractor on both of these also. Now, on the slides, I just polished the surface. And on the striker, I polished this surface and this surface right here. I didn't change any angles. I didn't use any abrasive material. I just polished these until they were into a very high sheen. And the same goes for the black slide. I polished the safety plunger, again, just this surface here, and the striker mechanism. This surface here, and the surface right here. All brought to a very high polish. So that's what I did to achieve my reduced trigger weight, and it also affected the trigger pull. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and add the Lone Wolf 3.5 pound connector to both of these and do a couple trigger pulls. We'll compare those to what we've got as our average, and then we will go to a stock Glock Trigger mechanism, assemble this and put it in, and we'll gather some more data. We'll be right back. Alright, we're back, and we've disassembled the trigger mechanism. I just want to share with you just a quick visual of the trigger assembly on the black Glock, and to what extent I actually did shine it or polish it. So there's that. Obviously, there's a big difference between the two of them. We won't polish the 3.5 pounder, but you can definitely see an angle difference there on those shelves. So we won't polish this just yet. We'll put it in as it comes to us. So there it is. So make sure our channel's good, spring's hooked up correctly. So there we are with our 3.5 pound Lone Wolf connector in there. Alright, we're back, and we are reassembled with the Lone Wolf 3.5 pound connector in our Glock. So all OEM parts highly polished with the exception of the Lone Wolf 3.5 pound connector now. So let's go ahead and put this back together. And let's get a feel. Let's see what the difference is. So, dingus, travel, rolling brake. Seems a little lighter though. So, dingus, travel, rolling brake. One more time. Dingus, travel, rolling brake. No wall at all. Absolutely, positively no wall. So, let's put a magazine in. Let's fire up the trigger gauge, and let's pan out just a little bit, and let's see what we get on our trigger pulls. So here we go. Bottom of the trigger, dingus, 3 pounds 4 ounces. 3 pounds 6 ounces. 3 pounds 5 ounces for an average pull weight of 3 pounds 5 ounces. 3 pounds 5 ounces. If we revisit our averages from the previous attempts, 354 falls in between again the first 10 that we did. So not a big significant change in the actual trigger pull weight, but I do feel a significant change in how much lighter the rolling brake is. So it already had a rolling brake. So dingus, travel, and you just go straight on through.